I know I wanted to talk, but is that a shmedium?
It's a shmedium for sure.
Man, it's extra large, dog.
No, you are extra large. That shirt is just medium.
ReconAthlete.com podcast, episode number 31. Chris Sanchez, Zach Lucero, King Kalunga in the house, Paul Rodriguez, Snoop Daniel on his way. What's going on, fellas? How was the Thanksgiving?
Just so y'all know, that clapping is fake. Just so y'all know.
No, it ain't, dog. So we're in the
They're behind y'all. I promise. They're
live studio audience.
Paul said they just left. They
was walking out the door and then they started saying, "Oh, yay."
My Thanksgiving was good though, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. I'm thankful for you guys. I have a lot to be thankful for. I didn't get to celebrate it with like my immediate family. They were out of town, but that doesn't mean that I can't be like cognizant of all that I have to be thankful for in my life. So I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, man, because like you actually had to work like the day before and after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dog.
Somebody's got to do it.
Did you get to leave at 3:00 on Friday?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And
what you talking about?
And John,
y'all didn't have to work on Friday,
bro. I'm a government employee.
No, and then John, like, you had to work, or you didn't have to work, but you said you stayed at home with taco salad.
What were you doing before Turkey Day?
What you mean, like on Wednesday?
On Wednesday, Tuesday,
cooking nothing but turkeys for everybody that wanted to come in last minute. Dude, I work 6 to 8 on Wednesday, and I work 6 to 8 on Friday.
Like AM to PM.
Yes.
Jeez.
13, 14-hour shifts.
For real?
Shout out Kreitz Market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Paul?
Oh, man, I did a lot of driving. I went to San Antonio on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, came back to the house, and then Friday went to Rockdale. Then Rockdale back to the house, and then Saturday morning came to see you. Got your bright, shining faces.
Oh, yeah. Then you broke stuff.
And then I had a infamous, we'll call it infamous intro.
And then Chris's face got less shiny because the light broke.
Yeah, a little bit.
It kind of like the accident helped the show a little bit.
Yeah, it did. Oh no, it was it was a good start.
I love the way you kind of respond to. You're like, no.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. I was on this side of the table, so I could see it like falling. And that's why I was like, no. I was because I had all this equipment in front of me. I didn't want to like try to jump over, and just knock everything else and break more stuff. Yeah, I was like,
if you would have jumped like that, you would have broke yourself.
Like for everybody who's listening,
would have broke right there. You would have pulled a muscle.
The camera fell diagonally towards Chris, hit the edge of the table, so he really couldn't jump over it, but he could have.
Yeah.
Then more equipment possibly could have been impacted.
Yeah, and it was kind of one of those moments where it was like, okay, it's like philosophy. I had to think like, what if I save the light? What else might break?
Yeah.
It's like you got the runaway train. Do you run over the 5 people or the 5 old people or the 2 kids? You know what I'm saying? Like one of those
I don't know
philosophical type of questions.
Hey, but I'm not. But I've honestly realized that. It's Chris messed up the whole like didn't press record thing, but I was kind of on both of y'all when I was here, but y'all didn't record the whole episode. Y'all breaking the cameras on the days I don't show up. I never mess anything up. I just miss out sometimes.
Yeah, you're just perfect, right?
Yeah.
No, he messed up that one time I brought barbecue and he didn't show up. He trying to act like an angel right now, but he messed up that one time.
And you did bring some Christ Market barbecue today.
I
posted about it on my Facebook page, and I think we tried to put something on Recon about that too. So shout out to Christ Market. Hit us up. Shout out to Lawman ATX also, right here as our homies. And we're going to talk some of that UIL realignment that just came out yesterday. We've got a lot of movement here in the Central Texas area, especially some college football playoff, and then we'll do a little bit of NFL. I think we're going to do Cowboys, Texans, and Steelers because King Kalunga is here. We're probably going to save most of the NFL stuff for Saturday because Saturday's there's going to be a lot of things going on. We're still kind of up in the air what we're going to do Friday, Saturday. We might take the show on the road. We don't know. We're not sure yet. We'll see.
Yeah, you said you were going to talk about college playoffs, but you know what we got to talk about, right?
What?
Why Texas finally showed up on Friday and smashed my Red Raiders, and they should have been doing that.
Did you go to the game?
I didn't go to the game.
I was there.
You didn't even invite me, Chris. See how it is, man.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
Bro, you were working all day.
I know I was. I was watching it in the office between turkey flipping.
Yeah, and then of course we'll talk the regional final championships. Lake Travis versus Converse Judson. We got Westlake against San Antonio Brandeis. Shadow Creek versus Manor. Shout out WAMM Nation. WAMM Athletics. Brenham versus Corpus Christi Cal Allen. And also Bremont versus Fall City. That's going to be at the field, Pflugerville on Friday night. So we'll talk a little bit about those games. But first, let's do our UIL realignment. And moving up into 6A, we got the Hutto Hippos. Moving up 6A, thoughts about that, Zach?
No, I mean, I think it'll be curious to see what they do with that district that has Hendrickson moving down and Hutto moving up. So I mean, you could has Leander moving down and Hutto moving up, as well as Hendrickson. So I mean, you could keep most of that district intact and add Hutto into it, which I think that would be an exciting matchup for Hutto against those Round Rock schools, especially since they're so close in in distance from one another. And I think it'll bring like the talent level of that district. I mean, the athletes that you lose with Hendrickson coming out of it and adding those Hutto guys, I think that just builds on that district's like just talent level when it comes to individual athletes.
Yeah, Paul?
Something on a larger macro level. I really hope those schools kind of get together and push to get in a region where they're not having to go through the Houston schools, like the Klein Collins schools, and just get into another region where maybe region 4, so that they don't have to go through such a large gauntlet and maybe have an easier road like the Westlakes and Lake Travises as they just got through finishing up. You know, what'd you call it, Zach? The what?
Yeah, that taco tour. Then
go.
just go through San Antonio and the Valley.
I think that's something they should really push for. I'm not sure how the UIL redistricts those individual school districts, but I would really push to get into Region 4 instead of 3.
So Hutto going up to 6A, Weiss 5A Division 1, Liberty Hill 5A Division 2, Gerald 4A Division 2. Shout out Manor New Tech.
Yeah.
Going up to 4A Division 2. Blanco 3A Division 1 and Flatonia 2A Division 1.
Moving up one division, yeah.
So Bulldogs, I'll tell you what, I mean, is there really a big difference between Division 1, Division 2 in y'all's opinion when it comes to those smaller districts? Paul, it looks like you want to say something about that
I think the
first.
biggest comparison you can kind of draw is on like the 5A Division 1 compared to the 5A Division 2 schools. I think there is a talent level difference, but I think with the enrollment size, that's where things get it's a little bit iffy. But I think you have better, higher quality athletes at the D1 level, and I think you're also going to see that especially in 2A D1. I mean, we had a huge shootout last week with Shiner and Refugio. In that matchup, that was number 1 D1, 2A Division 1 number 1 team versus the 2A Division 1 number 2 team. And it was a back and forth match, and Refugio came out with the W. But I think the higher level quality athletes are going to be in the higher division classifications.
Zach.
And I think it's really, you can go back and look at the teams that have won state to kind of see the talent level and the type of schools that are going to be winning at those different levels. I mean, last year it was Highland Park winning Division 1 and Alito winning Division 2. And so I mean, you say that there's a huge discrepancy there when it comes to talent level, but I mean those schools, it's kind of gotten to a point where schools, especially these schools that are like the only schools in their district, know like these one school districts like Alito, like the Westlakes, like stuff like that, where they've kind of learned how to kind of manage that enrollment level to be able to kind of find their niche and I mean Alito's been 5A forever. And that's like a 5A powerhouse
right.
that regularly beats 6A schools like it's nothing. And that's because, and it's almost because they've kind of carved out this hole in 5A where they know that this is where they can just live and keep their enrollment at about this many students and just dominate year in and year out. So I think it's less prevalent when it comes to like talent level at the bigger schools, but once you start going down in classification with the 2As, the 3As, the 4As, they start seeing a major. I mean, even in 4A, you see there's some bigger 4A schools, but then the 4A D2 schools are schools that you haven't even heard of. So I think it's the smaller classification schools that you do find the lesser athletes and then you do at the bigger ones.
Yeah, and I think it does make a difference as far as, the pool of athletes that you can, try to find. And, that's, as we know, we see a big difference in between schools when they're playing each other. You know, especially in the non-district games, you see all those teams with a bunch of kids on the sidelines, and someone about maybe 10 or 11, you know, just being able to barely platoon.
Right.
And
But you won't see too much of that in district play as you will in playoffs,
right.
because the schools that are 5A D2 and don't have any players, those aren't teams that are making playoff runs anyways.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's just because they don't have the depth. They don't have a lot of times they don't have the depth. They don't have the talent in general.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think LBJ is a good. I guess, you know, they don't have a lot of depth, but they definitely got the talent. So I mean, maybe that's just an anomaly. Probably
a school that I thought meets the criteria that you were kind of outlining, that they're a smaller school that was a powerhouse and they're kind of playing a little bit above their level, is Liberty Hill, who's moving up from 4A D1 to 5A D2. And, you know, they were a powerhouse in 3A when I was in school, and now they moved up to 4A and now 5A D2. Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see that talent level kind of get equalized a little bit, just because the athleticism at the higher division is going to be a little bit more prevalent.
But I think Liberty Hill is a school that could be able to translate the success into 5A, because
but they've been
I don't know what's necessarily
6A.
The talent level that have been bringing the wins. I think it's more of the scheme.
Yeah.
The scheme that they're running is that slot T, and it works, but it doesn't work on schools that are skilled and disciplined. Just look at Hayes.
The same
Hayes
way
had
that
offense in their district, and the only teams that stopped them were Lake Travis and Westlake.
But I mean, if you go and look at the teams when Liberty Hill has won state, the guys that have been like MVP of that state championship games, those guys would not be major factors at some bigger schools. They've just fit into the scheme so well at Liberty Hill that they've been able to shine. It's a lot of times it's the short white kid that's super good at Liberty Hill, because he's be able to read that misdirection and keep the ball and break a lot of tackles, because he does have the open space based on that scheme. So I don't know that it's necessarily like they've had the talent. I think because it is so schematic, their success, that could be something that translates, like we see with Cal Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, Cal Allen doesn't have the athletes. I mean, your cousin or your nephew or whatever.
My cousin. I mean, he's the athlete. He's an athlete. You know, Justice McClure. Shout out to Judge. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It is a lot of the scheme.
Like when you see them get off the bus against Aledo, it doesn't even compare. But you can't even say like there's no one on Cal Allen that you would look at their Madden ratings that would be anywhere close to the guys on Aledo. But it's their scheme that keeps them alive and keeps them. And it's so hard for them to beat year in and year out, as their coach being one of the most winningest coaches, not because he has the talent. Those kids aren't washing up on the beaches of Corpus Christi with 5 stars. They're fitting into his scheme so well, and it's making them work and turning into wins.
Well, Cal Allen is a school that has a lot of military officers that go in through there, and they work at the naval base in Kingsville. Anyways, my point bringing with Liberty Hill was Liberty Hill is playing up in their non-district, kind of like how Cedar Park was playing up in their non-district early, and they're playing like the Huttos and the what was the other, Georgetown, I believe, that Liberty Hill played. And so they were kind of maybe preparing for this, and that was, I think, what Chris was trying to say, is that some of these schools who play up in their non-district is kind of translating now to be moved up by the UIL in this situation.
All right, and some of the other schools that are going to be changing divisions and possibly classifications. Well, Leander, 5A Division 1, Hendrickson moving down to 5A Division 1 as well. Anderson, 5A Division 1, Rouse, 5A Division 2, Conley, 5A Division 2, LBJ going to 5A Division 2, McCallum, Crockett, Travis, Navarro, Northeast, all going to 5A Division 2. And you're shaking your head. I can see it there, Paul. Why are you shaking your head?
Because AISD or UIL is just protecting all the AISD schools and putting them back into their own little area again, keeping out, seems like Seguin and Dripping Springs.
I mean, do you think that's what's happening here?
That's just that's what I infer from this breakdown.
I mean, it could be just but
it was a coincidence when I played in high school. The Travis High back then, I think there was Johnston High School, Reagan High School, all the schools in the Austin area were all in their own little bubble, and they would always keep a team. Like my high school, Lockhart, which is back then we didn't have 2 divisions. Mm-hmm. It was just 4A. We were in that area, and we were always held out because that's just the decision that was made by UIL. And my inference was that they didn't want a team from the outside to come in and beat their schools year in and year out. They wanted the district championship to stay in Austin.
And I mean, devil's advocate, it could be just because there's, not any kids that are moving into the Austin area anymore. I mean, Austin is just so expensive to live in that they're constantly, I mean, we just talked, we just saw that they, closed 4 elementary schools in AISD. They're losing kids. They're not gaining kids. I mean, it's just, there's no families that can live here. I mean, I can barely afford this place. I mean, geez. And I'll tell you what, I think that has something to do with it as well. But I think you're right. There is a little bit of that UIL bias, or it could be. And, if there's anybody from UIL listening, I will. Zach?
I'm on the show. But I think it's interesting when it comes to potential rivalries coming back or new rivalries being created, because you could potentially get Leander back into a district with Rouse and Vista Ridge, which is those like down the street rivalries, as well as Weiss, Pflugerville, and Connolly all potentially being in the same district together as well, which I think could be really interesting. Pflugerville Connolly was always been a really big rivalry, kind of like Henderson Connolly was when I was in high school. But Weiss being kind of the new kid on the block, being able to go and play Hendrickson, being able to go and play. Well, and Hendrickson's the school that lost most of its kids to Weiss, if not all of their kids to Weiss.
Right.
The only school that really factored in. So to have Weiss potentially playing like kind of the old school versus new school, kind of how it was with Pflugerville and Hendrickson playing, which could be another rivalry being renewed too. But to kind of have Pflugerville Hendrickson turn into Hendrickson Weiss, I think that could be exciting next year to watch as well.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be we'll definitely have a realignment show as far as districts go. February 3rd, I believe, is when they're going to announce the new district. So we'll do. Of course, we're going to be doing Recon Athlete all the time. So it's not like just because football's over. We're going to get into Recon Knuckle Up with King Kalunga and talk a little bit MMA, boxing, stuff like that. There's always stuff going on there. And Zach, you're going to try to do some basketball, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just college,
Come on, man.
We're gonna have the basketball show gonna be popping, man. It's gonna be a lot of comedic basketball shows.
All right. Okay.
Who's your team in the NBA?
I don't necessarily got a team, but I got players that I like. My favorite player is Ricky Rubio. Play for the Suns right now, and the Suns are kind of having a nice little start.
He still plays?
Yes.
Is it because he looks like you?
Nah, yeah, he did love me.
Yeah.
That's a compliment.
And are you trying to say that we're not funny?
Yeah, I'm trying to say.
All right, that's cool. I agree with you. I agree with you. All right, so it's a little bit of talk about the UIL realignment. It was interesting to see what happened there. And reconathlete.com is where you can go and find the regional final championship schedule. Friday night, Westlake versus San Antonio Brandeis. Brandeis 13-0, 7:30 kickoff Friday at Alamo Dome. I mean, there's also a Bun B show that's going on that Kalunga is going to be catering with Kreitz Market. So,
oh yeah,
Aztec
Theater.
Shout out Aztec Theater. Shout out Bun B. So Westlake went on their taco tour. They beat up on the Valley teams, them and Lake Travis, continuing it back towards Austin area and going against Brandeis. San Antonio Brandeis 13-0. Westlake just rolling through teams. Do you expect the same type of game against Brandeis, Zach?
I mean, I think that I'm pretty sure the Brandeis coach came from the Allen coaching tree. So, I mean, Brandeis is a program that's on the rise, but they're still a relatively new program when it comes to like long-term success like this. And they're kind of one of the schools that they're like the tier right under Steele and Judson, where they have a lot of San Antonio success. They have a lot of success in the playoffs until they have to kind of take that leap, and they haven't been able to do that. I know Henderson has lost to Brandeis in the past, but I think the Lakes are just on a mission this year. I think they're on a collision course with the state championship game. So I mean, I think it'll finally be a good test for them, because it's something that they haven't had throughout the playoffs. But I don't think Brandeis can really hold water against those teams.
Paul, I think it's just going to be the Lake schools doing what the Lake schools do. They're just going to be rolling. Really don't have much to say on it. I'm looking for probably 52, 54, maybe to like 30. I think that's what's going to be. Like, I think one of these schools,
Brandeis can put up points.
Yeah, they can, and that's where I'm at with it. Is my thing is, will they score more than 30? I just don't think so. I don't think Brandeis has it in them.
I don't think it's necessarily like a drive-through taco stop. They're gonna have to get out and place their order and wait for their food. But I think it's still gonna end up a taco style.
Yeah.
This is definitely not a Taco Cabana run. This is a taqueria. Sit down, get your drinks, get your
this is,
chips. And
They're gonna have to
salsa.
get the
You gotta
Google
get
Translate out for the menu. You know what I'm saying?
You just go. That's like going to La Parrillita in Manor, dude. Y'all need to go check that place out. So yeah, definitely. You got to order in Spanish over there. They got some bomb tacos though. And shout out to your homie that's got a new taco truck down in San Antonio, man. Tell us about that. Zach.
Yeah, shout out my boy Nate, man. He's got his hands in a lot of pots, man. He ran for he's from San Antonio, so raised in a 210. Goes like has gone and traveled the world, man. Like been overseas. He's a parole officer now. He ran for city council. I mean he's got a lot of stuff going on. He opened up a new taco spot. So I mean definitely something y'all gotta check out whenever y'all in San Antonio next time.
Yeah.
I mean I think y'all gonna be in San Antonio like potentially.
Yeah.
Soon you go.
Yeah,
go
we're
check it
gonna
out.
we have to figure it out, man. Because I don't know, man. There's so much going on in San Antonio this weekend. It's gonna
You
be
might
popping.
not. You might not come back.
It's gonna be popular.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be popping down there. All right, so really, so there's no respect for Brandeis at all from either of you this weekend. I mean, like over. I mean, what's the spread? Y'all gonna put a spread on this? I mean,
I'll throw something on it. I don't even know Brandeis like that, but they're gonna win by 3.
dang.
Stop. Just stop. Just stop. I told you talking that nonsense in the car about the Steelers.
They gonna win
I
by
told you to
3.
stop.
They gonna win by 3.
I don't know what you were drinking in that bottle.
Look,
that root beer.
half that squad, I'm gonna get them into the show on Friday night, and they gonna be lit for Saturday, and they gonna wreck shop. I'm telling you.
Zach, any?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, for it to be a blowout, either way, I mean, what do you think would have to happen, Paul? Like when it comes to like who would have to step up?
Star has to get hurt.
They're gonna. You say talking about for Westlake?
Yeah,
For it to be a blowout, they're gonna have to score in every phase of the game, all 3 phases, and probably a pick 6 or 2.
I mean, and I think
But they have the defense to do that, and that's only why I bring it up.
Westlake.
Yeah.
And see, I think if Brandeis was going to beat somebody, it would be Lake Travis this year because Lake Travis is the defense that we have seen that's been kind of porous at points.
Questionable, yeah.
And it's Westlake's defense that has been kind of the one thing that we've kind of been known all year. So I think Brandeis just kind of got the wrong draw between the Lakes this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think Brandeis still scores, which I think could be detrimental to Westlake when it comes to later in the playoffs because I think teams can pick up off of stuff that Brandeis could have success for. And it's just another well-coached school. And I think that's something you see as like start to be a theme in the playoffs when you get late like this is not only do you know some of the players' names, but you start knowing a little bit more and more about the coaches because those are the coaches that have kind of been there before and have found something that works to put them in the playoffs like that. But I would say Westlake 14 points.
14 points.
Dub?
Yeah.
I think it's 24 and 22. It's in the P-Rod Power Index, 21 or more. That's where I'm at with it.
Wow, bro, he got no respect.
No,
man.
listen.
No
my,
respect.
My
dog.
biggest thing is
Rodney Dangerfield.
West. It's gonna be tight early, like in the first quarter, maybe into the middle of the second quarter.
But we start.
But
See,
then
the thing
Westlake
about
is gonna
San
start
Antonio
rolling.
is you start getting to athletes. It's San Antonio Brandeis just doesn't have the athletes that can hold up to the type of football that Westlake plays.
Well, when we talk about this next matchup, we'll talk about that. But anyways, back to the Westlake game. I just don't think that. I don't think Brandeis has the nucleus to push Westlake to the brink. I think they need this matchup. I think they need to scare Westlake does because next week when you start playing Region 3 and the Houston area schools, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But right now they need this little bit of a scare. They need to get in their mind, refocus, and re-engage to get the W. But I think it's going to be 54-30. That's where I'm at with it.
Wow. Westlake on the landslide victory called out by Paul Rodriguez and Zach Lucetto. King Kalunga is just rolling with the San Antonio boys.
Yeah,
bro.
San Antonio boys. SA 24-21, Brandeis.
Dang. All right.
24-21.
I feel you. All right, 5A Division 1. We're going to go in order here. So that's going to be Shadow Creek versus Manor, noon Saturday at the Alamo Dome. And I want to pull up this tweet by Chook Speed, at Chook Speed. It was retweeted by Coach Keller, who's the running backs coach at Manor High School. Shout out to Coach Keller. And man, if y'all trying to get some like like lose some weight and get in shape. You know, I hit up Coach Keller, man.
Okay.
That dude, like, yeah, he'll get you in shape for real. And Chuk Speed. But I want to read this tweet real quick. Shout out at Chuk Speed. It said, last time Manor High School was in the quarterfinals, it was versus number 1 ranked Fort Bend Marshall, who was 13-0. They were at the Alamo Dome, and I remember this. And Manor won 26-20. They advanced to the semifinals. Now they lost the next week. Remember that to Cedar Park in the semifinals. But that was the last time that Manor was in a state quarterfinal at the Alamo Dome versus a number 1 ranked team. They are doing pretty much the same thing.
I was there.
And you were there, Zach.
I was there with Snoop. We rushed the field after Manor knocked down the Hail Mary attempt.
Yeah.
And I just, the Shadow Creek school, man.
Yeah.
They're something serious.
I mean, we saw them. I mean, they put a big, 63 points on Hutto a few weeks ago. But Manor's not the same team as they were. I mean, we saw it. They're not the same team as they were last month.
Not even close.
Not even close, man. I mean, they got a lot of kids that were injured. They got them back. I mean, the coaches.
They're believing.
They really believe in it. They're finally like seeing how much talent that they have, that Manor's always have. Manor has it every year in and year out. So does LBJ.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I've talked about the coaching and the difference of the coaching between the two schools before. Shout out to Coach Mitchell and his staff. They've done a great job in developing this team. And, those 5 losses on that record, I don't mean nothing at this point.
Nope.
All you got to do is go 1-0.
That's right.
I mean, you already got Cedar Park out of the way, and that's what stopped you last year. You're in the same venue that you had a big upset, years ago. But, this Shadow Creek school, they're a new school, and I think it's going to be a school that we're going to talk about for a long time just because of where they are in the state, kind of that Pearland, Houston area.
Mm-hmm.
And Pearland's a school that we've seen make it to state many, many, many times. And to be able to kind of take athletes from there, Xavion Alford committed to Texas. He's one of the top defensive backs in the nation. I think it's going to be tough trading for Manor because you're finally coming up with a school that can match up with you athletically.
Paul?
I'm riding with WAMM Nation until the wheels fall off.
Oh, yeah.
I'm riding with WAMM Nation until the wheels fall off.
Rolling with WAMM Athletics in my shmedium shirt.
Shmedium.
Man, y'all make me all self-conscious, bro.
Oh, man, sit by us, Chris, and you look thin. I promise you. You look thin, my brother.
I know. I'm over here sitting next to
I know you had to move the camera because y'all was blocking me.
No, right now you got me from a side angle, so I look smaller than Zach right now.
That's because I'm in the way.
Yeah, Paul cutting off half of you.
I'm half the frame.
All right, and also on Saturday, Lake Travis versus Converse Judson. That's going to be at 4:00 Saturday at the Alamo Dome. Lake Travis, Converse Judson. I believe last year wasn't that Converse Judson that beat Lake Travis early in the season. I can't remember. I don't remember what it was, but Converse Judson, Lake Travis. What do we got here?
Well,
Rockets and the Cavaliers.
Well, last year, this is the coming out party for Lake McCree. That's kind of where we all started to learn his name with that huge catch in the back of the end zone. But I look for Grayson Sandlin on this game to be that big name, that big receiver. If him and Yarnell just get on the same page, which they have been in the past few weeks, I think it's just going to be more and more of the same from Lake Travis. And I think Zach's talked about this before. I think the playbook opens up even more with Yarnell having another week in the system and just loading the playbook up. And Converse Judson hadn't seen tape on Yarnell, so I think it's going to be a huge coming out party for the Cavaliers. And Judson, I think the reign is over. This week they get the L. They get out of the playoffs. Shout out to Shirts Clemens. They gave the blueprint. They beat Judson the last week of the regular season in the district play. So look at that tape.
Lake Travis versus Converse Judson. Zach Lucetto.
I just think like Travis has just kind of shown some inconsistencies throughout the season, and their offense hasn't really played at a level yet. I mean, me and Paul have made points that their offense could continue to progress, but their offense hasn't shown points so far to be able to put up the points to bail out a bad run game or a bad defense. And you're not going to be able to fall into a hole like you have against some other teams this year, against a team like Judson. Mike Chandler, the dual threat quarterback, DeAnthony Lewis, a running back that has some Division I offers too. I mean, it's just the talent level And normally Lake Travis can kind of do that to the schools they play at this point in the playoffs because the talent level is such a difference where they have guys to make it up. Their offense is just there's just better players to be able to fill up a gap if their defense is doing something schematically that's not working against their opponent, or if there's a couple athletes that's kind of making their defense look silly at points. But Judson has the capability to take away a game and run with it. And this isn't the Lake Travis offense that we've seen in the past. It's been able to put up big time points in the second half when they've needed to. So I think Lake Travis is going to play this game close. They're not going to be able to fall behind because I don't know if they're going to be able to catch back up. But I do think this is a Lake Travis win. So I think both Lakes move on to the next round.
You better play a lot of zone with all that speed that they have at Converse Judson, because I saw them play against Hayes in the bi-district round, and they can score at will. So you better make sure you're disciplined. You better keep contained, read your keys, and if you can, get after the quarterback, because the ball gets down the field, and also their skilled players, the ball just moves down the field very quickly.
Do you expect a Lake Travis win?
Without a doubt, 100%.
All right, so both Lakes moving on.
I think it's less confident than the Brandeis one because the opponent is significantly better. And just because it's a Judson team that you don't know a lot of names on doesn't mean it's not a Judson team. So, but I do think it's a win.
Before their L, they were 6th in the state, 6A. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, but I think that's a lot coming off of the talent they had on their roster last year.
Agreed. But they didn't lose until the end of the season to show their real selves.
Kalunga, you gonna go with the San Antonio squad on this one?
Converse is SA?
Yeah, they're just north.
Well, they're in Converse.
Both Lakes are going back home this week.
Damn, I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Them taco trucks are going to keep running and keep selling. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then people are going to pick up tacos for the way home. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're going to be doing. Then they're going to make their way to Kreitz before they go back home.
Tacos La Norteña Taco Truck, San Antonio.
Right. Brenham versus Corpus Christi, Cal Island. Got to mention this because my cousin Justice McClure is playing for the Cal Island Wildcats. They're playing 8 o'clock Saturday night. Brenham at 10-2, Cal Island 11-1. I'm going to have to go with the Wildcats in this game. And, you talked about Cal Island earlier, Zach, and they pretty much have the same type of squad. I mean, they're going to go out there, put some points on the board, play defense. Special teams is a big thing for them. They play all the phases of the game really well. And if they do that, I think they have a good chance of beating this Brenham Cubs team, who have a really good record at 10-2. But I mean, we've kind of seen them. They were in the district here in the Austin area, and we've seen them. But nothing too impressive, in my opinion. So I fully expect a Wildcats win for Corpus Christi, Cal Island. You want to mention anything about that game, y'all? Y'all good?
I like seeing high school quarterbacks under center. That's
Why is that?
exciting.
Why is that?
It's so exciting to me because you just don't see that nowadays. And I mean, I remember when I was in middle school watching high school games, and I was playing middle school quarterback. I was like, dang, those high school quarterbacks they've been down so low to be under center. I don't know if y'all have ever noticed that. They take the snap really, really low to the ground. And especially in those triple option offenses like that, everyone's just so close to the line of scrimmage. It's just so fun to watch. And I think you want to root for Cal Allen in the road through the playoffs like this because you're so excited for those potential matchups in the state championship game where Cal Allen is such an underdog that it's just you can't help but root for them. So I think hopefully as the Cal Allen win, they can continue rolling and have a big time matchup against a school like Alito or something in the state championship game.
I believe they still have never won a state championship. As much of success as they have had in Cal Allen, Danaher hasn't been able to seal the deal. And we'll see. Maybe the third or fourth McClure brother fourth McClure brother that's coming there might bring it home for the Cal Allen Wildcats. All right, ReconAthlete.com podcast episode number 31. Talked a little bit of realignment. Of course, regional semifinals going on this weekend. College football playoff rankings came out last night. I was at Revelry Kitchen and Bar over on the Boulevard. Shout out to Lockery and those dudes. Man, I was eating some wings last night, man. Some wings.
Sauce or no sauce?
No sauce. I got them naked. I got them Paul Wall style.
Naked.
Got naked wings. Ohio State number 1, LSU number 2, Clemson 3, Georgia 4. Is there anybody in this top 4, fellas, that if they lose will stay in the top 4? Zach?
I think LSU.
LSU?
I think Ohio State.
Both of them?
Yeah.
So if both lose, I guess maybe depending on how they lose.
There's not a one-loss team that you would be able to put in above either of those two.
So in your opinion, Ohio State and Paul, You're shaking your head yes.
I agree with that.
So both Ohio State and LSU at this point, if they lose, even if they lose, they're in the college football playoff.
I have even made an argument to some of my friends and just talking at work that it might be beneficial for LSU to almost like
Just
not even
not
worry
play.
about this game.
Yeah.
Not throw the game, but I mean not
Because you can't
not
get
risk
blown
anybody
out.
getting hurt.
Or does it
I mean,
matter?
I don't think it even matters.
Really?
Yeah.
Like even if they get blown out, Paul, LSU gets blown out. They're still in the college football playoff?
That's different. That's a
LSU
different
gets
story.
blown out. LSU gets blown out by Georgia. Georgia still lost to South Carolina.
Yeah.
That's true.
So then you're both in.
But it's the way you lose, and right now we're talking about we've seen the pattern this season. The College Football Playoff Committee, they're giving credence to close wins or close losses rather. So if you have a close loss to a higher ranked team, or if you're a high ranked team and you have a close game to an unranked opponent or a lesser opponent, they're taking that in consideration to possibly drop you or move you, depending on how the rest of the teams played out. But I think if you have a nasty, grotesque loss by LSU only, not Ohio State, but LSU only, potentially you could be knocked out. I just think Ohio State's, I mean, they could easily have, Ohio State they could easily have 3 players in New York for the Heisman ceremony.
See,
Easily.
And I think when it comes to LSU, I think it might be beneficial for them to lose this game because I think they match up better with Ohio State than they do against Clemson.
I disagree, and I'll let you finish.
Because I think Clemson has shown to be arguably the most complete team of the top 4. They've played defense solidly all year. They haven't had any games where their defense has looked like the weak point of their team. Their offense has continually gotten better, whereas, I think we've seen LSU and Ohio State have kind of peaked at the beginning.
Right.
They've kind of played at this all-star level at the beginning of the season against Texas, at the beginning of the season, and kind of the lesser teams that Ohio State played at the beginning, and just never fell off. But I think Penn State game for Ohio State, I think they kind of showed you some things for Ohio State. And then in that Michigan game too, I mean it was never really a game, but I mean there were points in that Penn State game, there were points in the Michigan game where Chase Young just really wasn't a factor. I mean, you almost kind of forgot he was out there. I mean, you talked earlier in the season before he got suspended that he was a Heisman hopeful, and I was on that bandwagon as well. But there was just times where he just disappeared.
Yeah,
and I think if you're LSU, you can go look at that film and find out what these teams were doing in these little pockets, and turn that into maybe a quarter worth of that, maybe a half worth of that, and your offense I think is so good that if Ohio State's defense lacks like that, you could run away with that.
Yeah.
And whereas Clemson, I think, is just so complete of a team that's not something you want to run into in the playoffs. You'd rather run into a team that has parts of their players kind of on the decline than the team that's continually to get better every week.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Clemson is right now.
So I think right now, Zach, I think what I'm hearing you saying is if you're in the top 4, you don't want to see Dabo Swinney on the other sideline until the championship game.
Yeah. You don't want to see Trevor Lawrence in the other huddle either.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Paul?
Where I was going with it with the LSU, I think they don't want to lose for selfish reasons. The selfish reason is I think they feel very obligatory to Joe Burrow and what he came in from Ohio State, and he kind of revamped their whole program. LSU's never really had a quarterback. That's been their thing. They've always needed a gunslinger. And I think they don't want to lose because I believe if they do lose, especially in the SEC championship, I think that's going to heavily impact the Heisman voting for Joe Burrow. And that's where I think that they need to go out, play a solid game. I personally believe they could have this wrapped up in the third quarter, then sit Joe and some of the starters in the fourth, get the W, walk out, SEC champs, and just get ready for their next opponent, possibly Clemson, in the college football playoff.
But I mean, none of that matters because Joe Brady's coming to UT anyways next year. be the OC for UT.
All right. So LSU. Go ahead, Paul. What did you have?
Even more the reason to get the Heisman Heisman under your belt for the coaching quarterback and get him over to Texas.
All right, so we're kind of. I mean, I'm on the same boat. I mean, think Ohio State and LSU. I don't. If they were to lose their conference championship games, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. And I think if they were to lose, they would probably still stay into the
Kirby
college football
Smart
playoff.
couldn't blow out anybody if he tried.
That's true.
He doesn't even know how.
And Clemson,
He knows how to get blown out, but he don't know how to blow people out.
they have Virginia, right? Virginia
Right.
Cavaliers. All right.
Who cares?
What? Okay.
Hey,
and then
Bryce Perkins.
I'm not trying to say that this is going to happen, but Virginia beats Clemson. Clemson Tigers out.
I mean,
Is that
Utah,
bad enough?
Utah would have to blow out Oregon.
Is that a bad enough loss to drop the Tigers out
To where?
to 5?
And put Utah in?
Put Utah in or Oklahoma.
No. Oh, so okay, we'll get to Big 12 because you know where I feel about the Big 12.
So I'm just saying, like, I'm not talking about like put who.
I think
but because that would be a huge upset, correct? I mean, we can all agree that Virginia over Clemson,
28-point favorites.
in the ACC championship.
No doubt.
That would be a huge upset. It's probably not going to happen. I don't know. Kalunga might, he might pick them. You never know.
We got to see if there's anybody from San Antonio on that. So probably not.
So, but if that were to happen, I'm just saying, can that, because Clemson's sitting at 3 right now. Can a loss to Virginia drop them to 5?
But an undefeated 3.
No, you're right. I understand, but with Ohio State playing number 8 Wisconsin and LSU playing number 2 Georgia, that's completely different with Clemson playing, I think they're 22, something like that, Virginia. Yeah, they're 23 in the college football playoff. And that's a huge difference.
I just think there's, in my opinion, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, big gap, 5. And I think that gap is so big that Utah will have to really show you something.
So, like, it doesn't matter what happens this weekend.
No, I think it does matter what happens this weekend.
Okay, Paul.
My where I think this is going, and this is a leap, but I just think it could happen, and I'd like to see it happen, is Georgia loses in the SEC championship, Utah loses in the Pac-12 championship, and Baylor wins the Big 12 championship, and Baylor goes to number 4.
As a Texas Longhorn fan,
of course you don't want to see that.
I don't know, not even because I don't want Oklahoma to win. I don't want Oklahoma to make it into the playoff and get blown out again.
That's why I don't,
because that reflects very, very poorly on Texas.
Why?
Because Texas hasn't been able to beat them.
They didn't beat Baylor either.
But I mean, like what is it? Transitive properties or whatever. Like,
man, y'all smart.
Hey, watch out.
Okay.
It's just like I think that just reflects very, very poorly on the Big 12 to have a team go in every year and get blown out.
Okay.
Like if you're like, there's no swag to that. There's no like if you're OU, you can't recruit someone and say, hey, if you come here, we'll make it to the playoff. We'll lose, but we'll make it to the playoff. Like, I'd rather go somewhere and hope to make the playoff than go to OU where I know I'm going to make it and get blowed out.
Yeah, like Baylor. Coach Rule has these boys playing at a high level right now.
But either team, if they make the playoff, they're getting blown out.
Really?
To Ohio State?
To anyone in the top 4.
Really?
I don't know about that.
I don't know about
Georgia?
that.
I don't know about Georgia.
I don't know about all that.
Georgia ain't blowing-
Maybe Ohio State.
Georgia
Maybe
ain't blowing nobody
maybe
out.
my pick for the national championship, Ohio State. But I don't know about I guess LSU is at this point. I mean, we saw what they did to the Aggies last week. I mean, that was pretty sad. Golly.
I tried to tell
you.
people.
You tried to tell me.
I tried to tell people.
I was like over there thinking, the Aggies will do. Yeah, I was like, no, never mind. My bad. Y'all fooled me. Y'all fooled me, Aggies. But yeah, I mean, I think A&M, Oklahoma or Baylor get into the top 4. They're going to be number 4.
Yes.
And so then they'll most likely play Ohio State or LSU in the first
round.
In the first round.
Semi-round.
And Jalen Hurts turned the ball over how many times against Baylor, against Texas? If you have a guy like Chase Young, you have a guy like Jeffrey Okudah, I mean, that's about 7 turnovers from Jalen Hurts right there. And I mean, if you're Baylor and you can't stop Oklahoma's offense in the second half, what are you going to do against a running game too?
Yeah.
In Ohio State and J.K. Dobbins, you know what? A lot of Texas boys in the top 4.
LaGrange, Lake Travis. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson.
Jalen Hurts is from Texas as well.
All right, Utah, Oklahoma, Baylor, all the one-loss teams outside of the top 4. What will it take for them, one of those 3 teams, to get into the top 4?
A Georgia loss.
Just Georgia. Georgia loss, and
Because you're not making it with 2 losses. If you're making it with 2 losses, then what's the point?
Then put
of
Alabama
winning?
in.
Right.
Yeah.
Then put Alabama in and sell more tickets.
Right.
so Georgia loss. Oklahoma, Baylor are playing each other. So one of those 2. So Georgia loses, Utah wins, Oklahoma wins. Who gets in?
Utah, easy.
All right. Oklahoma blows out Baylor. Utah squeaks by Oregon. I think Oklahoma's in. I'd rather see Utah than just to have the new name in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But-
Utah wins, Baylor wins.
Baylor's in.
Baylor's in. Wow. Zach?
So if Georgia loses
Georgia loses.
and Oregon beats Utah, the Big 12 winners in no matter what.
They have to be. Look at the math. Look at the math.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see a Big 12 team in there.
Why?
I think it would be a great thing for Baylor to be in, just because you were talking about the swag. I think Baylor would maybe even shock Ohio State, or not LSU, but Ohio State. Maybe they would just have so much energy.
Man, y'all
They would
really
go-
love
it's-
LSU.
No, yes, Chris, yes.
Both of y'all
They're
do.
just they're a balanced, they're a well balanced team. They have a great quarterback.
All right.
They have Texas next OC, man. I got
Hey,
to
all
look
right.
it up.
Kalunga, you got any? Who's your top 4, man? I mean, we got these top 4 years. I mean, you think Oklahoma or Baylor? What you got?
Texas Tech,
I don't like Oklahoma,
Pittsburgh.
so I'll go Baylor.
You go Baylor,
I'll go Baylor.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State.
and then, we'll see. So you got Baylor.
I'll go Baylor.
So Baylor wins, Utah wins. You think Baylor over Utah in the top 4?
Utah wouldn't do nothing in the playoff.
You don't think so?
Yeah, but neither will Baylor or Oklahoma.
Nah, Baylor boy, you got Texas boys coming into the Final Four, dude. Like Texas plays with swag whenever they're in.
Man, those Utah boys, they play with aggression. They haven't had sex.
Man, those Samoans ain't gonna do nothing in the
They got a
playoff.
lot of pent up aggression.
You know how many of them ladies over there at Baylor gonna promise them players some stuff? You know what I'm saying?
We ain't talking about that.
You know what I'm saying?
We ain't talking about that.
But I'm just saying, them Baylor boys gonna go hard. You know what I'm saying? Because they know what they're gonna get after the game. They said, "Y'all advance, we gonna advance." You know what I'm saying? It's gonna go down like that.
Word.
Hey,
up.
but speaking of Oklahoma Baylor, I got 4 tickets to the Big 12 championship game. If anybody's looking for tickets, I got some tickets that I'm selling.
Man, you went StubHub early, didn't you?
My
Broke your heart?
man, we
Broke your
we
heart?
bought them tickets in the summer.
Broke your heart? Yeah.
In the summer
For what though?
to see Texas Tech.
'Cause he
Oh, no, I'm just
believed.
kidding.
That's wrong right there.
Where is it? Where is it?
At that Jerry World.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
What time?
I think it's the 7:00 one. Yeah,
Oh,
it's the
is it?
7:00 one on Saturday.
Let me double check.
Baylor, Oklahoma.
Baylor, Oklahoma's at 11.
All right, so hit up
Never
Zach.
mind, not 11.
Hit
Not
up Zach.
11 o'clock.
Was it Zach Ain't Whack?
Yeah, on Twitter.
At Zach Ain't Whack on Twitter if you need some
Use
tickets.
promo code Recon. I'll get you a deal.
Bet.
Promo code Recon Athlete. All right, reconathlete.com podcast episode number 31. We're going to talk a little bit NFL. We're going to save most of our NFL content for Saturday, but we do want to talk Cowboys, Texans, and Steelers since Kalunga's here.
Oh yeah.
And let's go ahead. Let's start off with the Texans because Kalunga, you were at the Texans.
I was at the
You were
game.
at the Texas Patriots game. What was the atmosphere like at that?
See,
at
when we
that
got
game?
there, man, I'm not even gonna lie. The Patriots fans, they travel pretty well.
Yeah.
Where I was sitting, they were surrounding me. They were all up in the tailgates. They were all up in the stadium right before the game, and they were talking a lot of mess.
Yeah.
They were talking a whole lot of mess, and I was just sitting there like, they gonna lose today. Like, I really had that feeling, man. Me and Paul talked about it before I left because I went by to go pick up some stuff. I left at Paul's. I told him, I was like, dog, Texans are gonna win today, man. And he was denying
said
it.
no.
He was denying it.
Yeah.
So we had to put a wager on it. And then Patriots went down, man. Because, man, the way Brady plays, there's 2 ways to beat Brady. There's 2 ways to beat Brady. You pop him in the mouth, he gets fidgety. He throws the ball away. He's not in sync with his receivers. He's scared to get hit. He feels like somebody's on his back. He feels like somebody's on his side, like he gets fidgety and he goes down. The second way to beat him is keep him off the field, long drives, score. That's it. Those are the only 2 ways you can beat Brady. Everybody's talking like all on the news on ESPN and all that stuff that he's declining and stuff like that. Like, I hate this crap about him being the GOAT because he's not the GOAT. I don't care about the 6 rings.
Dang.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about the 6 rings, bro.
Ben Roethlisberger's the GOAT.
No, I won't even say that. If you want to talk about a real GOAT, when they QBs still took hits and didn't get flagged, the defenders wouldn't get flagged and there wouldn't be no stuff. You go Montana. That's the GOAT.
All right.
Montana.
Fair enough.
And that's not even a Steeler, bro.
Fair
like,
enough.
you know what I'm saying? Like, he took hits. Terry Bradshaw, he wasn't that good of a quarterback. He won 4 rings at a time where they got popped in the mouth and they only had 2 bars on their freaking helmets. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can't touch Brady without getting flagged.
And the fastest guy ran a 5.7.
That's right. I know it was a whole different era and there was different athletes, but like when Brady's playing, you might as well just throw flags on the side of his hips because it's flag football. Then
They didn't throw him. They didn't throw him that night.
dude, the first half they were giving so many flags to the Texans. I really thought we were about to get screwed. If you go look at that whole first half, they were giving some bull crap calls in that whole first half. And the Texans still fought through it. They kept their composure. They kept on driving. They got up. They picked Brady. They kept on popping him in the mouth even after he threw the football. That boy was fidgety, man. That's how they took over that game. Second half, though, that defensive coordinator from the Texans needs to get slapped. They almost gave it up. And you texted me. You're like, hey, they about to do that comeback. I was a little worried. I
told you. I was like, you're going to be mad if they come back, don't you?
I was. I didn't even text him back. I was like, I ain't going to jinx it. But I was a little worried, man, because the second half, man, all he did was do prevent.
Yeah.
Dude, the whole first half, you were popping Brady in the mouth. Keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is going to fold over. Because if you meet them in the playoffs, he's going to remember that. I know they're going to change up their schemes and change up the way they ball, but he's going to remember that he got hit for 4 quarters. I was pissed. I was like, man, I'm glad we won.
Yeah.
But I really thought we were about to lose it, too.
What was the wager? Can I ask her? I mean, is it something that we talk about?
Just straight up win. Like, just a meal.
A meal.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but we're doubling or nothing.
We'll get there. We'll double down.
We're doubling down because of the Steeler game this weekend. So we can jump right in the Steelers. Steelers versus Bills this Sunday.
Ahead.
Got moved to prime time because it's a big game.
Flex.
Did it really?
Yeah, it got moved to prime time.
When?
It must be a bad weekend to match up.
No, there's
No, man, you got to think about it. Like where the Steelers are at, they're already talking Mike Tomlin, Coach of the Year. Because, dude, no Big Ben, no Bell, no Brown, no Connor, no Juju. Like, where's our offense, bro? You know, 4th-string quarterback.
Duck. Yeah, it's 3 o'clock game, right?
We got a solid defense.
Yeah, it's a 3:30 game.
Oh, it's 3:30? I thought it got moved to Sunday night.
Rams, Seahawks.
Yeah, Rams Seahawks Sunday night.
Ain't nobody trying to watch that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of people are, but that's okay.
Listen, man.
Maybe not you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But I'm telling you right now, man, like the Bills, I know they're all hyped because they beat the Cowboys. It's the Cowboys. I know that quarterback, he's pretty solid for the Bills, man, but he has to worry about Bud Dupree on the left side and he has to worry about TJ Watt on the right.
I mean, I know those Steelers fans are hyped because they beat the Browns, but I mean, it's the Browns.
Man, nah, y'all were all up on Mayfield at the beginning of the season and this and that, and then all that whole they beat the hell out of us 3 weeks ago. I gave it to them. Yeah. What's that?
So, what?
That's who y'all play this week.
Oh yeah, they got the Cardinals. They got that's the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was talking Bills.
We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post.
Nah, man, we live, dog. We live. Pittsburgh at Arizona.
Oh, I didn't know that, dude. I thought it was Bills. I kept well, maybe they were just announcing that.
Whenever they flex matchups, they flex like weeks in advance. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we got the Cardinals. I ain't worried.
Yeah, that's next. Week. Next week is the Bills.
Next week is.
Hey, y'all better watch out. Y'all better not lose to the Cardinals. Y'all can get unflexed real quick.
Well, I just went and had made an update to my fantasy playoff matchup, and I went in and switched defenses, picked up the Cardinals off of waivers against your Steelers. Because you got a no-name, undrafted free agent rookie quarterback.
He got a name.
The Duck, bro.
Duck.
Yeah.
Duck, bro.
Might as well duck that week.
Nah, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. Here's the thing: the Steelers are gonna do what they need to do, and I'm gonna be buying my playoff ticket because if it goes the way I want it to go,
you're gonna be in the same boat as Zach.
Not even. Pittsburgh's playing Houston at Houston in the wild card, and I'm gonna be in that game. Not in my Houston gear because my first team is Pittsburgh till I die.
You're gonna be in La Panzón.
Yeah, I'm gonna be puro lucha libre that night, dog. You know what I mean? Like
El Panzón.
Nah, I ain't gonna be up on something that night.
But that's the character with the mask.
Well, it is, but like, I've been getting lean with it.
I've heard you've been working out lately. I'm just saying.
I've been working out.
Hey, all I'm saying, if they flex that Bills matchup, I'm gonna be ducking my TV if that's the prime time
man,
game.
but you got to really think about it, man. Look at their record without so many of their stars on offense, bro. You know what I'm saying? And like Tomlin's still like coaching them to dubs.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's still coaching them. Look how many stars are on the Cowboys and they can't win.
So
I'm sorry.
But to me, that makes Tomlin a potential, coach of the year candidate.
Yeah,
but,
they're already announcing that.
So, but the Cowboys, you mentioned them. They got the Bears tomorrow night.
They're gonna lose too.
At the Bears,
told you, Paul, they're gonna lose.
The Cowboys are 6-6 now. They lost 2 in a row. Patriots and then Bills. They got the Bears tomorrow night. The Bears are not a good team.
Who want to wager on that one?
Paul Rodriguez. Kalunga's already saying he wants to wager on it. Are y'all gonna double
Chris,
nothing?
That's our double or nothing.
Chris,
double or nothing.
That'll be the double or nothing.
Chris, who you going for on this game?
Since you were all Bills on the ride,
Cowboys
then
fan.
why don't we double or nothing? Because you still owe me a steak, bro.
Oh yeah, I still owe you a steak. Well, let me get you that steak first.
Oh, that's true.
Let me get you that.
Then it wouldn't be double or nothing.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It would just be a new bet. So you don't have to fix that in post because that didn't make no sense.
Man, I don't want to double or nothing, man.
Man, Chris just stacking up his debt, and he got the audacity to be asking about plug
ins. It's gonna get bigger. That's why.
I got a whole jersey that's been in the mail for about.
Hey man, you didn't get it, dog. You didn't get it.
Hey, because Chris over there having to save up because he bet me them big bucks.
No. Since we're talking about that, you know what was crazy this whole week, like watching SportsCenter, ESPN, NFL on Showtime and stuff like that. Dude, like nobody really even talked about the Packers beating the Giants. Like nobody even cared about that game, bro.
It was too cold for anybody.
They were in the snow, but nobody
Aaron
talked
Rodgers
about
dropping 4 touchdowns.
Man, it's the Giants, bro. Like
it was the Browns. What do you mean it was the Giants?
Ah, man, I'll tell you right now. I still think the Giants.
I'd rather have Danny Dimes than Doug. At least he got a cool name, Danny Dimes.
Hey man, Doug got 2 dubs. His first 2 career starts.
Well, all right, let's get back one more time for the Cowboys Bears because we're still trying to figure out who's going to bet who.
I know.
And you got Bills and Steelers. We already talked about that.
So,
Jerry Jones
I don't
trying
want
to
put no money on the Cowboys, man. Right now, I got so little faith in the Dallas Cowboys right now.
Chris over trying to redact all his statements.
I'm pulling for you. You like who am I? You asked me who I'm going for. I'm going for the Cowboys.
I know
obviously.
you're going for the Cowboys, but
who do I think will win the game? I have no idea. I have no idea who's going to win that game tomorrow night because the Dallas Cowboys are not a good football team right now.
Are they playing in Dallas? Or
Paul Rodriguez. No, they're in Chicago.
Oh, then Shai's gonna win.
Oh yeah. I got some people I got some folks going up there. Shout out to Carrie, Adam, Jessica, and Stephanie. They're actually on their way. They was going to the airport.
That's tough.
Homegirl Michelle was giving them a ride to the airport. They're going to the game tomorrow night. So
yeah, shout out them.
Yeah, and they're going to the Cowboys Bears game. What do you expect them to see tomorrow night, Paul?
A Dallas Cowboy victory, and this is why. The reason why,
man, they love games like this.
The reason why. I believe the Dallas locker room, coaches included, know what's already coming at the end of the season, which is going to be Jason Garrett's removal or not renewing his contract. So now with that being known, I think the Cowboys players are going to perform to the best of their abilities because I think throughout the season they haven't been because they've been frustrated with Jason Garrett. I think they've been frustrated with the way things have been operating. I don't think the locker room was ever Jason Garrett's in this season. Michael Bennett came in after the loss and had a huge blow up. I think it was a positive blow up to refocus the players. He's his own man. He knows who he is. He knows where he wants to be.
Super Bowl champion.
He is a Super Bowl champion.
With them little ass pads.
With that being said, I think this was the great person to bring into the locker room that has a Super Bowl championship and has some credibility to get Dallas over the hump. And I think that's what Jerry Jones did with bringing in Bennett. He also knew Bennett from his brother when Dallas drafted Martellus Bennett from A&M. Now with Dallas Cowboy understanding their outlook and their goal, they're playing for next year, but that doesn't mean they can't ball and try to get an NFC East championship, possibly make 1 or 2 wins, one maybe, in the wild card playoffs coming at the end of the season.
Can I have my outtake on the game?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. The reason why Dallas is going to lose this game, the Bears are going to be running that ball. There's going to be a lot of 3-and-outs. Dak really ain't going to have enough time to be out there. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be a lot of 3-and-outs. And I think Zeke's pretty much just gave up on this season. Pretty much.
Okay.
Zeke's done gave up. You could see it on his face when he's on the sidelines. He don't care. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I got my money.
Because he wants Garrett out. That's why.
That too. He could be underperforming for that reason. But Dak, I know he wants to ball, but man, if everybody around you ain't trying to ball with you, how you going to drive downfield?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think Mac's going to step his game up to this game because he's been getting a lot of bad press because he really started off the season slow, and he's supposed to be a beast.
Khalil Mack, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to go after Dak a lot this game.
All right.
And they're going to run the ball, and
Bears are going to win. Zach?
Bears are going to win.
And this is a typical Cowboy bounce back game, and it just changes the narrative in the media, and Dak starts earning his money again and all this stuff, but I mean, this is kind of like the summary of the Cowboys over the last, 5 years is you lose the games that would actually mean something, but you win all the other games, and that's why Jason Garrett has had his job for so long. That's why Dak has all of a sudden turned into a $40 million a year quarterback, potentially. But, I mean, I think if you're a Cowboys, you want the worst weather you can have, the colder the better, because I think Dak's problem is he doesn't like the warm weather, and it's always – climate controlled in Cowboy Stadium because he remembers that he got beat up on spring break. So whenever it's warm, he got flashbacks. So maybe if he let him play in the snow, he could dice him up a little bit.
Is that why he always puts a glove on in cold weather so he can remember to protect himself whenever
he's always in sweats and pre-warm up too, boy.
And what the hell kind of stretching is that man doing? Looking like the Macarena out there. Hips left and right.
Trying to activate them hips, bro.
Nah, that fool be going to SA on the weekend dancing like that. You know what I'm saying? That's that Cumbia. That's that Cumbia Kings real quick.
Cumbia Kings. All right, ReconAthlete.com podcast episode number 31.
Hey, shout out David Montgomery. That dude's been balling for the Bears.
Oh, yeah.
Running back from Iowa State.
For sure. Hey, show us your bling there, dude. Yeah, show it to the camera over here. Over here. Yeah, that's what's up. First of all, I want to thank Zach Luceto, King Kalunga, Paul Rodriguez. I want to thank everybody that joined us on Facebook Live. Shout out to Snoop Daniel and Fanstand ATX. Good luck to both the Lakes. Good luck to WAMM Nation and the Cal Island Wildcats. And of course, the Brenham Cubs too.
And good luck to you, Chris, trying to get out of that shirt.
That's wrong.
Man, y'all are sorry, dude.
That's wrong.
Y'all are sorry. And shout out to all my friends. Have a safe trip out to Chicago. And that's about it. We'll see you on Saturday, hopefully. Maybe from San Antonio. Paul, do your thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Just tell us how we're doing, how we're looking on Facebook Live and YouTube. As always, turn on the bell for the notifications. Later.